you bad when you're the only member of Congress, you got your own segment on my show. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett joins us right now, representing the 30th Congressional District in Texas. On Monday, she announced in Dallas that she was running for the United States Senate. A whole lot of folk have been talking. And first of all, let's be real clear. A whole lot of folk been lying, making up a lot of shit. So let's just go right there. But I got to start with this one here, because this is where I don't really understand. Hold on. I don't really understand these crazy people. Let me pull this up. So the Republicans, so the site Notice dropped this story like, oh, the Republicans led an astroturf campaign to trick Jasmine Crockett to running for the race. And so they had people calling her office to make it sound like people wanted her to run, and they were releasing all of these fake polls to hype her up. So Ryan Graham, okay, a reporter, he tweets this: the NRSC robocalled high-propensity Dems, urged them to call Jasmine Crockett's office, urging her to run for Senate, then connected the caller to the office. The GOP also ran and pushed around polls suggesting she'd win. Crockett then believed the AstroTurf hype and launched her bid. Congresswoman, how will you respond to this?
Okay, so first of all, I need everybody to just breathe. I launched on Monday, and we are at Wednesday, and everything has been about me. And I did a longer than normal speech because I knew what all was about to come my way. They were trying to do things to try to keep me out of the race, right? So Governor Abbott was tweeting and saying, if she gets in, she's crazy, and that's good. That's what we want, blah, 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 blah. There were leftists tweeting and was like, well, no, we can't have her in the race because we all know what happened to Kamala. Like, everybody was like, literally like, don't run, don't run, don't run. And then you're like, oh, it's because people called her phone that she decided to run, when I laid out very clearly for people that not only would I not just rely on third-party polls, but that I would actually get my own polling. And I looked at the trends. Now, unless they are paying my pollster, and if they are, I need to know about it. But I have known him for years. And so I know that they're not paying my own pollster. And we were looking at trends. And so there's different things that we look for as it relates to determining whether or not I would get in. And frankly, the most important thing that I wanted to see was my ability to expand the electorate. And that had nothing to do with phone calls. Like, if somebody calls my office, God bless you, I appreciate you. But I didn't get those calls at all. And that was never anything that I even tried to say was a part of my calculus. And if it's true that the Republicans want to see me in November, it would have made sense to release this information after I cleared the primary, not the day after I enter the primary, if it's me that you really want to see in November.
Right. And not only that, just again, we saw what happened in Texas. So we knew the Republicans were going to do a racist gerrymander. We also knew this right-wing Supreme Court was going to back them up. So it's not like you didn't have a lot of time to study this. And I would also, and I'll ask you, I would think, this is just me, but I would think that if you were thinking about running for the United States Senate, you'd have looked at the 2024 results when then Congressman Colin Allred lost by 960,000 votes to Ted Cruz. You would have looked at the 2018 race when Beto O'Rourke lost by 215,000 votes to Ted Cruz. You would have looked at the 2020 race when John Cornyn won by 1.07 million. I would think that you would have also looked at, the fact that African Americans have the largest group of, Texas is the largest group of black voters in the state in the country. You probably also looked at how Trump's support among Latinos has cratered. Some tells me you probably looked at all of that and all of the data before deciding to run.
Again, like I've told people, we evaluated trends. So, for instance, as you talk about these previous elections, Beto O'Rourke was getting approximately 65% of the Latino vote. Beto O'Rourke was hitting maybe right there at 90% of African American votes. And so all of this stuff about, oh, it's got to be a moderate, it's got to be somebody that sounds like a Republican. The person that actually came the closest in the state of Texas, not a moderate. He is a progressive, like Beto is a progressive. So like we can get that out of our head. And what you do when you do stuff like that is you turn off the base. What we saw was Beto turn the base on. Okay. So my deal is in a state where 61% of the population is people of color, I think that there needs to be candidates. I don't think one candidate should do it. And that's why I also was working to make sure that we could hopefully maximize who all potentially was going to be on this ticket. Let me tell you something. For the first time since the 90s, every single state House seat is being challenged. Every state Senate seat is being challenged. Every single U.S. House seat is being challenged for the first time since the 90s. When you're talking about the margins, like what happened with Beto O'Rourke, that in and of itself may make the difference. But also looking at the trends, whether it was other people's polls, which Data for Social Good has a public poll that is out there. The people that ran it are definitely not in our SCC. Also, the people at Texas Southern, not in our SCC. They've got a poll. The people at University of Texas, not in our SCC. They've got their own poll as well. And when you look at it, I perform the best with African Americans and Latinos. So with that being said, as well as people that don't have 4-year degrees, these are people that Democrats have been losing. We've been losing Latinos, we've been losing Black folk, and we've absolutely been losing those folk that don't have, degrees. I'm performing best with them of our choices. Will it be good enough? Well, that's actually going to be on the people of Texas, and it's going to be on whether or not they actually show up. And so all of this stuff about you got to do crossover and whatever. Okay, I think anybody that is fed up with their current situation because of Trump's policies will maybe want to do something different. We just saw it in Miami where they flipped a seat that had been Republican for 30 years. So don't tell us what we can't do. People need to just say, we are going to do this because it is life or death, and stop allowing the negativity to seep in. That's what got us where we are now.
When we talk about Texas, so let's talk about this here. When we look at the state, Texas is 61% minority. I think when people talk about Texas, they say, oh my God, a Democrat has not won a statewide race in Texas since 1994. Oh my, and that year was four Democrats who won that year. And oh my God, it's red, red, red. You made the point that Texas is not a red state. It's an unorganized state. 61% of Texas is minority. Yet 61% of the people who vote in Texas are white. You've got 2 million plus eligible but unregistered Latinos in Texas. You've got 254 counties. Democrats, maybe it's more, but county offices only about 80 or 81. So when you start looking at when Beto ran against Greg Abbott for governor, 75% of voters 30 and under didn't vote. So when you look at that, is that because, frankly, the money has not been invested to actually do to Texas what happened in Georgia? And what do you hope to do? Granted, the primary is in 3 months. If you win the primary, you got the general in November. How do you put that coalition together and turn those people out?
Yeah, I think these are all great points. And as you can imagine, I do well with young people. I don't think that that's in our SEC. Again, this is just kind of real life. So I think there's a couple of things. So as I was also doing analysis, I was also even recruiting further down ballot people to run so that we could hopefully run up the numbers in these counties. Because even if somebody's like, oh, I don't think such and such can win, it's my friend though. And so they'll show up and they'll vote for their friend. And this is what you've got to do when you're trying to get past the margins. But also taking a candidate who already had high name ID. We've never had a candidate, at least that I'm aware of in recent times, that entered the race that had as high a name ID as I have. What that means is that we have been spending a lot of money just to get people to learn somebody's name and then learn about them and decide whether or not they like them. The reality is that people know my name and they know what I'm about. So we don't have to spend our money that way. We can go ahead and actually start getting to the people and saying, yo, it's go time. Are you in? In addition to the fact that I have worked across this entire country on behalf of other candidates because I believe in the team. I believe in democracy. And so I was making phone calls to other states like, yo, I have shown up for y'all. I don't know how many times. I done the Democratic dinners. I done the NAACP dinners. I done all the things. So we're going to need some phone banks. We're going to need, at a very minimum, us to get help. And there's nobody else that can get outside help like that. And it is an advantage that our primary is so early because, you know, people have been saying, what can I do in this moment? How can I help? Because people are feeling anxious, right? Well, now we've got the major special elections that are over. And the next primaries are going to be Texas and Arkansas, that first Tuesday in March. And so here it is. We've got vote by mail applications that can be requested right there on January 1. People will start getting their ballots in January so that they can vote. And then early voting starts in the middle of February. So it's go time right now. And so I'm looking forward. If you are interested in joining the team, go to jasmineforus.com, sign up to be a volunteer, because I do believe in the power of the people and taking all of this harnessed energy and using it to make sure that people understand it's bigger than Texas. This is about our democracy. This is about this rogue Supreme Court in which the Senate is the only body that actually has oversight over the Supreme Court. And so I think we've got to change the map. And I don't think that we can just settle for, well, we may get control of the House and we may be able to highlight what all is going wrong, or we may be able to file bills and those bills then don't make it out the Senate because we still don't have the votes. We got to change the map. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sure that we can level up not only for Texas, but honestly for the entire country.
So you talked about high name ID, but you also have high negatives. Listen, Donald Trump has been attacking you viciously. Republicans have been doing the same thing. They can't stand your questioning in the hearings. I even saw this post where a little member of the Help, a little MAGA, little mascot, C.J. Pearson, talking about, oh, let's keep this ghetto ratchet. You know, they love using those phrases, trashing you as well. So you're doing high negatives. You got some of these people say, oh, no, we've got to have a candidate who's going to appeal to Republican voters. So going in, having high name ID, but having high negatives, how then do you counter that? Is your focus saying, listen, at the end of the day, I got to get the low-hanging fruit, the low-propensity voters, the folks who, frankly, are not turning out, who've been sitting elections out?
That is my goal. I think that I've uniquely been able to connect with people that haven't paid attention to politics, people that have frankly given up because they don't feel like people are authentic or care about what it is that they're going through. So that absolutely is our goal. I must also say that with high name ID, no matter who you are, is going to come high negative. Like, cause like people either like you or they don't. Like it's not, everybody not gonna like everybody, right? But when you do my favorabilities, they actually are higher than the two leading Republican candidates. And they've been elected statewide in the state of Texas, one of them for close to 30 years and one of them close to 20 years. So, I mean, what does that mean, right? Like people are like, I don't like this motherfucker, but this is the person that's on my ticket, right? So, I don't think that that is an end all be all. That is for sure. I think that at the end of the day, what we're seeing is that the environment is not a good landscape for the Republicans. And right now, people want somebody that's going to fight for them. And so whether it's that farmer or rancher that I've had an opportunity to meet, or even do some things on the farm because I've done those things because I served on the ag committee, or whether it's that person that is pregnant and is about to deliver a child and now doesn't have the Medicaid that she needs. As we know, somewhere around 40% of new births in this country are Medicaid births. I mean, or it's that person that lost their job or can't afford to send their child to school because of where the Department of Education is. I mean, everything is breaking around us. Or it's that person that has been working multiple jobs because we have failed to raise the minimum wage while we continue to go out and help those corporate billionaires just put more and more money in their pockets, to the extent that Elon Musk is about to become a trillionaire. I mean, at some point in time, people get fed up. And I think that's what we're seeing. And I think that they want somebody that they feel like is not lip service and isn't just somebody here to be a puppet, but somebody that may say the off the cuff things, which we had to test for that as well, just so they know. You know what? The authenticity, regardless of how raw it is, seemed to do me just fine.
Well, and then when you talk about, obviously, when you know what's happening in the state, I mean, look what happened last night in Florida. I mean, Republicans have controlled the mayor's office in Miami. A Democrat won last night, first time in 30 years. And so we see what is going on all across the country. Real quick.
Oh, and Roland, she didn't just win.
Oh, no, she beat that ass. Matter of fact, last night I was in a chat group. And they were, I had posted it, and somebody said, they said, she won. I said, no. This is, hold on one second. Let me go ahead and show it for the folk here.
I think she got maybe 59. She
got 60.8 points. She trounced, him. So this was a runoff. It wasn't even close. Y'all, this is what the numbers look like right here. Eileen Higgins got 60.8%. Emilio Gonzalez, 39.2%. Questions from the panel very quick. Rebecca, go.
Congresswoman, a little civics 101. There are a lot of people who don't understand how important primaries could be. So can you talk about how a primary could be important for a candidate to test their organization strength and prepare them for the general election?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that I told people, even though I'm sitting here, because there's no way that I could not be on an interview with my constituents, as I'm also in D.C. because I had to return to D.C. for work. I told my team, I was like, it's go time. Like, it's GOTV time. We are already there. This election, I think, is 83 days away at this point. So, we got a lot of work to do, and it's a big state. But we are starting the general election. And so it is important. So that's the phase that we're in. I'm not going to go into all the details about what it is that we're doing and how late I'm staying up at night and all the things that I'm doing late at night, because I am burning both ends of the candle. But I will tell you that it will demonstrate how excited our base is. And one of the questions that I asked one of my classmates who's from Florida about the election yesterday, I said, man, I was like, that's what I need. I needed that rolling into the primary. I'm like, yes, I need the people, like, we got this. Like, I need them to feel it. And ultimately, he told me that that there was, like, this very low voter turnout for the Republicans. And I think that that's another place that we actually may excel. So if we can run up the numbers on our side, and if Republicans either just decide to vote for something better, or if they just decide, never mind, I'm not going to vote because I just can't bring myself to vote for either side. Either way, that works out for us. And we've got to start, especially when there's 19 million registered people. We're talking about a race that will be over in 11 months. So that's a lot of people a month, right? Like, that's close to 200,000 people a month that you really need to be trying to meet.
Joe.
Congresswoman, honored to be able to be on with you and say directly to you, you are a real one. It's great to be on with somebody that Donald Trump is scared of. Here's my question. Are there any campaigns out here over the last several years that you might draw influence from? I know your goal is to expand the base, maybe on some level, build on the things that Beto did right, et cetera. Are there any ones that you've seen nationwide that say, I think I might take a little bit of this. I think I might take a little bit of this. Because those are the types of things that we're doing. I mean, I know nothing as big as Texas, and it's different. But are you drawing influence from any campaigns you've seen?
Yeah, so great question. So these conversations have been so deep and layered, including conversations with Stacey Abrams. I mean, I don't know how you can consider even running for the Senate in Texas and not think about Stacey Abrams and think about John Ossoff and think about Reverend Warnock and think about kind of what that looked like. And so I will say that she is an invaluable source and resource as it relates to kind of being able to think about this a little differently. Now, Georgia has about 1/3 the population that we have. And when we start to talk about land mass, there is no comparison. But I do think that that is a good launching point. And a lot of things can translate over very well as Beto O'Rourke. Beto is a friend. I've been on the trail for Beto before. And so I think it's going to be integral because I think if there's any organization that's actually really been done in the state of Texas, it's actually been Beto's camp. We have a new party chair, but he literally just got there. So, you know, this is going to be like all hands on deck trying to pull it together. And I also am going to be speaking a lot to Jamie Harrison. And Jamie Harrison is a unique person to talk to because besides being DNC chair, Jamie Harrison
former
was
DNC chair
candidate, huh?
Former chair.
Yeah, former chair. But yeah, besides being a former DNC chair, he was a candidate for U.S. Senate. And so he hit some pretty historic numbers on his fundraising. And when you're looking at trying to fundraise in the state of Texas, it is approximately $100 million raise. So anyone who's been able to kind of be in this position where people really aren't believing or maybe not believing enough, but still is able to kind of fundraise and meet the moment, I think it's important that I talk to him. And then obviously I've had a number of conversations with Colin Allred, but he is the person that ran this race most recently. And so talking to him, number one, he also was able to hit that $100 million mark. So again, if you've not donated, please go to jasmineforus.com. But he's been able to hit that $100 million mark. And so, you know, kind of listening to him about what it is that he thinks he did right, what it is that he thinks may have been some of his challenges. But no, we're not leaving it just to kind of our own. We are having lots of conversations. And I must say, I am really excited about this particular race in this moment because some of the best political minds coming from all spaces are like, whatever you need, we got you. And I just think that that's a lot of that goodwill that's coming back from having worked on the presidential campaign, both for President Biden as well as Vice President Harris.
Kelly.
Sure. First and foremost, I absolutely agree, Crockett. And I've been following your career for a while. I've been in the same rooms as you, panels and things, but I digress. I just wanted to say it's an honor to be in your presence once again. I just wanted to point out that people are forgetting that you are a public defender and you understand the law, you understand the stakes, and you understand exactly who has been harmed by this administration and beyond. But I also want to point out that, or at least can you talk about how your campaign isn't just anti-Trump, how it is bigger than this administration and how it is really recalibrating what needs to happen in this country for us to progress and move forward. Because personally, my concern about any campaign that the Dems are going to be running this term are the purist Democrats, so to speak, somewhat single issue voters on those topics that don't need to be named on this show, but I'm sure you know what they are, that have impeded progress in this party simply because of disagreements and splitting hairs and frankly ignoring nuance for the sake of being a purist in your ideology. Can you expound upon that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things about that. Number one, I think that it is important to have unity. One of the considerations that I thought about, because people were starting because they were scared, because the poll numbers for this primary are quite stunning. So people were really scared about me entering this race. And so they really started with some very negative, and they started some disinformation and just flat out just started lying, to be perfectly honest. I fully anticipated that I would be attacked from the left and the right. And at the end of the day, I just want to serve. I want people to know, in case you don't know, there is no additional pay. I could have went back to the house, got the exact same check, and had 766,000 constituents versus 30 million. And my deal is, if these weren't issues in all this time, then you should probably be thinking twice. If you're seeing a clip of something, you probably should go out, maybe do a little research, and maybe see if you can find the entirety of the clip, because maybe it's something they don't want you to see. If you have questions about my record, I've always been willing to answer for my record. I don't anticipate that everyone will ever agree with everything that I vote for or against. And at the end of the day, I remember being on the campaign trail for Harris, and I would go into Black church and I would ask people to raise their hands if they were married. And then I'd ask them if they love their spouses. The answers would get a little funny. But I then would ask them, do you agree with your spouse on everything? And everybody would be like, no. And I'd be like, okay, so here's the reality. I'm giving you permission to disagree. In fact, that is part of what makes the fabric of this country, is the idea that we can disagree. But the idea that you are seeking perfection or your perfect candidate, I will tell you that we will continue to lose elections as Democrats if you are seeking perfection, because there is no perfection. And I will tell you that the Republicans have figured out how to gaslight us, and have figured out that they can divide us by setting, for some, an impossible standard. And at the same time, they will accept all faults of their candidate so long as it's on their side. So a good example of this and how they throw bombs is them going on about how Joe Biden was old and how he ain't know what he was doing and he's senile and all this other kind of stuff, right? They threw that out there. Democrats then ran with it. It was like, oh, we got to get him out. He old. And what the Republicans do? Nominate an old, senile, dementia-ridden man. So I'm like, if it's good enough for them, why couldn't we have nice things, right? So I just want people to recognize when they're being distracted. If somebody is not talking about what matters most in this election, which is affordability, and how they are going to make it possible for you to build generational wealth, because they are going to make it possible to actually get policies passed so that you can actually buy a home and pass something down. If they're not going to make it possible for you to be able to send your kid to school without taking 50 million loans out, if they're not going to talk about how it is that you're going to go from being paycheck to paycheck, if they're not going to talk about how it is that you won't have to incur medical debt or that you will even have health insurance, then just understand that they don't want to talk about what matters most right now. They want you to be distracted. They want to divide us because that is what has worked. And I want to say this final point, and that is that the bots are out here and they are real. I'm sure y'all talked about it before, where when the new feature went live on X, it showed how all of these big influencer accounts are foreign actors. I have traveled the world and talked to allies about how they meddle in our elections, and they do it for pennies on the dollar. It's a lot of people getting riled up by bots and don't even know it. So I'm just saying, we lost because we decided to lose focus of what mattered. We can do that again, or we can go back to that 2008 moment that I was trying to remind people of, when a young Black 44-year-old senator from the state of Illinois had to tell people and reaffirm over and over, yes, we can, because clearly many people told him with the name Barack Hussein Obama, no, you can't. But he did. It's going to take all of us. So, you got to decide, pick your battles, and recognize that there's not going to be any perfection. But also recognize that I have a record. You can look up anything you want to look up and find out where people are confusing you.
All right. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, I'm sure we'll be chatting with you a few more times between now and the first Tuesday in March. But we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.